All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another live stream of Fast Break Bets presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. As everybody knows by now, we are live at this time, 11 a.m. every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, going through the entire NBA betting slate, giving out picks for each and every game. As for today, it's another lighter slate. On Monday, we think we had 4 games. For today, we only have 6 games. But I was still able to find 9 picks that I really, really liked with a total of 6.25 units risked. The performance, we've mostly broken even the past 3 streams with a slight negative day, I guess, for 3 straight streams. We've been down a couple straight as well. Hopefully we can get this to turn around. Very confident that we will be able to. If you're in here, make sure to subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel. Share the link with your friends so we can get in front of as many people as possible. And the most important thing, especially for days like today, in which we have a little bit of a lighter slate, is get all those questions, all those comments, anything in the chat. When you see me looking over, all I'm doing is I'm monitoring the chat, making sure I can respond to as many people as possible. So whether you have plays that you like that you want to shout out, that I can also give a shout out to and just give my comment on the matter, or you have any questions for me, you want my advice, could be game specific, could be betting specific as well. Would really, really appreciate as active as anybody can be in the chat. I already see Logan in here. Appreciate you for tuning in. And then, of course, you can find me basically on any social medias at my handle you see on the screen here at Jedi Modi. But let's get into the picks for today. So as I mentioned, we have 6 games total. I'm going to have 9 plays for you guys. Again, 6.25 units risked. That little quarter unit is on a nice spicy play, which we'll get into. But the first play that we're going to go ahead and lock in here, this is in the Pelicans versus Pacers game. And I'm taking Tyrese Haliburton over 11.5 assists. This is best offered at plus 102 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. And I know that we just went with Haliburton on Monday and he burned us, but I'm not quite scared off from Tyrese Haliburton yet. I'm going to need a couple more games where he screws us. Then I might put him on the do not bet list. First of all, that game on Monday, it was just a weird game. Sometimes that happens. He had 4 assists early in the first quarter. Thought we were looking good. And then to begin the second half, he had 7 assists early in the third quarter. I thought, classic Haliburton. He's going to rack up a ton of assists. Then, of course, he didn't get a single assist the rest of the game. He ended with 7. So yeah, he didn't get one basically the entire second half after getting 2 early. That game, if you look at it, clearly an outlier, as he had 7 actual assists, which is tied for the lowest he's ever had when he's played 32 or more minutes. And he only had 11 potential assists. That's absurdly low for Tyrese Haliburton. For context, he averages the most potential assists in the entire NBA by a mile. He averages over 19 potential assists per game, and he only had 11 last game. So clearly an outlier. That was also the second half of a back-to-back, so I'm willing to just chalk that up as a weird game, as a bad game, whatever it may be. Luckily for this matchup tonight, he's not on the second half of a back-to-back, so he's rested. And he gets a very, very good matchup against the Pelicans. The Pelicans defense generally does a good job guarding guards. Herb Jones is a good defender. They got a couple good guard defenders, but that's more so from points than it is specifically from assists. They do a pretty good job. They do a pretty good job at guarding guards from points, not necessarily assists. The Pelicans are giving up the second most assists per game to someone of Tyrese Haliburton's playmaking style. And over the past 2 weeks, they're allowing the second most assists per game to point guards as well. 4 of the last 6 point guards against the Pacers have gone over their assist over under. That includes Tyus Jones, who had an absurd 15 assists on an over under of 6.5. So I absolutely love this play. Let's hope Haliburton doesn't burn us again tonight. Before we get into the next one, we got a couple comments here. New here seems like a solid spot to be in. That's a great point. After tuning in after a couple down days in a row, it just means you're going to be on the ride for when we start getting hot. Are you going to be using the 50% profit boost? I would say not on the stream. I'm not going to have anything for the 50% boost. I might end up posting something about it on social media. So I would recommend following me there. Or you can use the Betting Pros app, which I'm going to highlight in a little bit, and just find a positive EV play and then use the boost on that. Just make it even higher positive EV. Got him on Prize Picks at over 9.5 assists. That's an incredible price. I wish I got that. Anyways, Next pick that we're going to go ahead and lock in here. This is in the Mavericks versus Raptors game. I'm taking Luka Doncic to record a triple-double. This is best offered at plus 430 odds. I'm only putting a quarter unit on this one. This is 0.25 units that I'm putting on this one. But there are a couple reasons why I really like Luka to get a triple-double. For starters, it almost aligns with the Betting Pros projections. They have him pretty close. Obviously, the points are essentially a gimme. Unless he rolls an ankle, he's going to get to 10 points. And if he rolls an ankle, he won't get the 10 assists or rebounds either. So the points, yeah, they're pretty much a gimme. And then in terms of the other stats, Betting Pros projects him to have 9.3 rebounds, so over 9, but not quite to 10, and 10.1 assists. So it really sounds like the rebounds are going to be the biggest sweat. But I really think that he can get there I can get there in this matchup against the Raptors. And real quick, how many units for Haliburton? That's a 1-unit play. That's a 1-unit play. Sorry about that. First of all, going back to Luka here, it's his birthday. He's turning 25. So him getting a monster triple-double when on the day he turns 25, that just sounds like the perfect script to me. Not that that's actually why I'm on him. But look, if we get any type of birthday bump, that's just a bonus for us. The reality is this is an awesome matchup against the Raptors. Their defense has just fallen off a cliff recently. They're literally allowing the most points, rebounds, and assists to guards over the past 5 games, the past 10 games, the past 15 games. So if you want to take his PRA for a full unit play, I think that would be pretty good. I like it. The plus 430 odds for him to get a triple-double is pretty juicy. And Luka seems to show up after a loss. We actually have a very, very recent example of that because their game last night was him showing up after a loss. The Mavericks played on Sunday, lost to the Pacers. Then they played last night to the Cavs. Luka had 45 points, 10 assists, and 9 rebounds. He was 1 rebound away from a triple-double. And then, of course, for those of you that follow the NBA, they lost. The Mavericks did in a brutal, brutal fashion. Excuse me. They took the lead with like 3 seconds left. The Mavericks did. And then Max Strus won the game on like a buzzer beater, ridiculous 3-pointer from half court. So another game after a loss for Luka. He's so close to getting a triple-double last game. I think he gets there for us tonight. Again, quarter unit play, but pretty juicy odds. I think it's worth it. Next up before I get into the next pick, I want to talk to you about the Betting Pros Discord. So if you're looking to up your game in sports betting, look no further than a Discord community that Betting Pros has gathered at bettingpros.com/chat. In the Discord, Betting Pros has gathered a team of expert handicappers giving you free, that's the most important part, the Discord is completely free, picks for any sport you could think of. NBA, NHL, college basketball, soccer, golf, player props, live betting, futures. It's all in the Discord. Get in on the action, connect with like-minded individuals such as yourselves that are sports betting enthusiasts. You can also elevate your own betting strategy. You can get insights from the pros that are in the Discord, not only just giving you picks to tail, but also helping you with your own strategy as well. So join us in the Discord today and take your sports betting experience to the next level. Next up, so we're actually sticking in the same game, the Mavericks versus Raptors, taking Immanuel Quickley to get to 20-plus points. This is best offered at minus 122 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. So this is actually a lean. I don't have a full unit or even a half unit on this one. This is categorized as a lean. I really, really wanted to make this an official play, but the reality is I think I've maybe lost like 5 straight bets on Quickley that I just didn't have the heart to put the full unit on it. If you take out that part of it, if you just look at the matchup and everything, it's actually really, really good. So I wouldn't blame people that did want to put the full unit on this one. I can't keep getting burned by Quickley. But again, it's such a good play. So talking through that, the reason why it's such a good play, Quickley is really the only guy on the Raptors who takes pull-up shots, both in the mid-range and from deep as well. And that's exactly what the Mavericks defense gives up. We'll get into the Mavericks defense in a little bit, but just to stick on Quickley for a little bit. Since he's been a member of the Raptors, so basically 2024 and on, he averages the most pull-ups in general on the team, while also averaging the most pull-up three-point attempts specifically as well. And he averages the most by far, both in three-point attempts and just overall pull-ups. And even though he's kind of been colder recently, those numbers have actually gone up, right? Like if you look at February 1st and on, He's averaging 7.6 pull-up field goal attempts per game. So in the month of February, 7.6 pull-up field goal attempts. The next closest guy is a full 3 shots below him at 4.5. And then in terms of pull-up threes, specifically in the month of February, he is attempting 4.5 pull-up three-pointers. This is attempts per game. The next closest guy is at 1.5. So he's only gotten to 20 plus points in 3 of his last 10 games, but he should absolutely be able to get there in this matchup against the Mavericks. And I think we're getting a pretty good price because of the fact that, again, he has been a little bit colder. The Mavericks, they did overhaul their defense a little bit. One thing they did with that overhaul is now they give up a ton of pull-ups. In the month of February, they're literally giving up the most made field goals from the pull-up in the entire NBA. Now, Quickley is not on the level of these guys. Of course not. But Donovan Mitchell just put up 31 against the Mavericks. Devin Booker put up 35 against the Mavericks. Both of those guys are extremely good at pulling up in the NBA. They're one of the best pull-up guards in the NBA. Yeah, Quickley's not as good as those guys, but we only need him to get to 20 as opposed to the 30 plus points that those guys scored. So I do like this one a lot. Immanuel Quickley, 20 plus points. Next up, the next pick that we have here, this is in the Cavaliers versus Bulls game. We're taking Darius Garland over 6.5 assists. This is best offered at plus 120 odds. You can get this one directly on DraftKings. This one I am taking for a full unit. So Garland, for starters, 5-star positive expected value banger on Betting Pros. They project him, Betting Pros does, to have 7.5 assists, and they give him a 62.2% chance of going over 6.5 assists. That's a 36.8% positive EV play via Betting Pros. Absolute banger. And looking at Darius Garland, I've gone with him a lot recently, but in fairness to me, for good reason. He's just been printing money if you've been taking his assist props recently. And for whatever reason, the books are still pricing it. We're still able to get it at an over-under of 6.5. And we're still able to get it for plus money odds. When I woke up this morning and saw that the Cavs were playing, I figured his assist number would be at 7.5. Or I figured his assist number would be at 6.5, but heavily juiced towards the over. Neither of those things are the case. And I was legitimately worried that maybe I'm missing something with the odds and with the price. If you just give me 1 second here, I think we're having some technical difficulties. Sorry about this. Okay, I think we're good to go. Anyway, sorry about that. Anyways, back to Darius Garland. So, I legitimately thought I was missing something with these odds here, right? Like, the only thing I can think of is that he's on the second half of a back-to-back. But let's talk about the last time he played a back-to-back, both the front end and the back end. The front end of the back-to-back, he played 37 minutes, and he had 10 assists. The very next night, he played 38 minutes, and he had 9 assists. So now that he's recovered from the injury and he's getting his playing time back, the second half of back-to-back does not really scare me off at all. Overall, Garland has gone over 6.5 assists in 8 straight games. Legitimately 8 straight. So yeah, printing money with his assist prop. And it's not as though he has a difficult matchup against the Bulls either. The Bulls are definitely a team that we've been targeting and that you want to target for point guard assist props. And it's all about the style of defense that they play. They send a lot of help towards guys that are able to penetrate into the interior. They don't really have any plus defenders really. So they send a lot of help, which means that they either leave a lot of shooters open on the corners, which is a very high percentage look, or they leave a lot of guys open right under the basket, which is an even higher percentage look. So with that thought in mind, the Bulls are giving up the 5th most assists per game to someone of Garland's playmaking style. Over the past month, the Bulls have given up the 4th most assists to point guards, specifically in the entire NBA. These two teams just played right before the All-Star break. Darius Garland had 7 assists on 12 potential assists, and he only played about 30 minutes in that game. So I love targeting Garland in this one. I was shocked to see the price that we were able to get it at. Hopefully I'm not missing something here and just he's going to have 1 assist and I'm going to be embarrassed. But I think this is an absolute smash play. Drip Sauce Media asking, should we take the PRA for Luka? It's not one of my official plays. I do think that it's a good play. And if you hit it, I do think that's worthy of being played for 1 unit. I just kind of liked the value on getting him to record a triple-double for the plus 430 odds. But yeah, the Luka PRA is absolutely a great play. Next up, this is our 5th pick. we're actually sticking in the Cavaliers versus Bulls game, and I'm taking Max Strus to make 3 or more 3-pointers. This is a half unit play that you can get at plus 200 odds at DraftKings. So again, only a half unit on this one, but another play that's really, really good. So Betting Pros has Strus over his 1.5 made 3-pointers as a 5-star positive expected value banger. Really good play on the over 1.5. I decided to pump it up to 3+, mostly just because the odds on the over 1.5 are so steep. They're like minus 140 that I thought that it would be worth the value of getting him to make one more 3-pointer for the plus 200 odds. Now, obviously going from 1.5 to 2.5 is a big deal, but because of the matchup against the Bulls, I think that it's worth the sprinkle on the 3+. If you do want to take the over 1.5, I wouldn't blame you. That I do think would be worth a full 1 unit play. But for me, I like playing the plus money odds better. But this matchup is amazing. He should be able to get a bunch of 3-point attempts. We just have to hope that he has a good night shooting. If you look at the entire year, the Bulls are allowing the most made catch and shoot 3-pointers in the entire NBA. And they're allowing the most by a pretty decent margin, right? Like they're allowing 11.6 made catch and shoot 3-pointers on the entire year. No other team is even allowing more than 11, and they're at 11.6. And it's not like they've gotten any better recently. If you look at this calendar year, so from January 1st on, they're still allowing the most made catch and shoot 3-pointers. And as for Max Strus, I do worry a little bit that just how hot he was yesterday. He literally made 7 3-pointers yesterday, including the buzzer beater to win the game. So yeah, it might be a little bit square because he was just on fire. But also, he's really the only guy on the Cavaliers that takes a high volume of catch and shoot 3-pointers. He averages 6.2 catch and shoot 3-point attempts per game, and he makes 2.2 of them. And he's the only one on the Cavs that even attempts more than 5. So he's up at 6.2. The next closest guy is at 4.1. So barely even attempting more than 4. He's up at 6.2. So in this matchup against the Bulls, he should take a ton, or he should have the opportunity to take a ton of open catch and shoot 3-pointers. As long as he's even half as hot as he was last game, he will be able to cash this for us. And for plus 200 odds, very, very juicy play there. Richie Smalls asking about Garland over 1.5 threes. I didn't look at him specifically. My knowledge of Garland is that he takes more threes from the pull-up as opposed to catch and shoot. So you might be able to get pretty good odds on that, but I don't think it's quite as good of a matchup. And that's just off the top of my head. I didn't actually dig into the numbers on Garland. I just believe that's what I remember seeing when I was looking at Strus. But anyways, we're 5 picks deep. The perfect time to talk to you about the Betting Pros app, bettingpros.com/apps. So I mentioned to, that was to Logan asking about, am I going to use a 50% profit boost? This is how I recommend people use profit boost. Find a positive expected value play and just boost those odds, making it an even higher EV play. What I mean by that is you can use the prop bet cheat sheet and find all of the recommended picks that Betting Pros offers. And you can find their recommended picks based on the current lines that the sports books are offering and based on the Betting Pros projections as well. So when you hear me talk about like Luka's projected for this, it was a positive EV play. I'm talking about using the prop bet cheat sheet. It's phenomenal. I lock in all the bets that I can on the app. You can find my profile and tail all my picks at bettingpros.com/Modi. You can also get a free trial of the premium offering. So we're going to do a giveaway, which I'll mention in a little bit. You can also download the Betting Pros app to get access to a free trial of the premium offering as well. And then, of course, it syncs with all your sports books. So log in to the app, sync your sports books through the Betting Pros app, and it'll track all your betting information for you, which is amazing. Not needing to track it yourself is phenomenal. So Logan, full unit for Max? No, Max Strus 3+ is a half unit. It's a half unit play for Max Strus to make 3. If you want to take him over 1.5, that I think would be worthy of a 1 unit play. But I am officially taking him to make 3, and I'm officially putting a half unit on that. And that's how it's going to be tracked as well. Sterling having a question. We'll talk about that off the stream. I don't want to talk about anything kind of personal like that on the stream. Anyways, so we're 5 picks deep. We got 4 more. The next one that we're going to talk about here is in the Grizzlies versus Timberwolves game. And I'm taking Jaden McDaniels over 1.5 made 3-pointers. This is another half unit play that you can get at plus 140 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. So the reason why we are on Max Strus is because of how he shoots for the Cavs and how the Bulls play defense. It's very similar for McDaniels. It's another matchup play based on what the Grizzlies give up and where McDaniels shoots from. So the Grizzlies are listed as literally the best matchup in the entire NBA when it comes to power forward 3-point props, which is Jaden McDaniels' position, and the best matchup for 3-point props for point guards as well. Now, I know obviously McDaniels isn't a point guard. I'm just trying to highlight just how good of a matchup the Grizzlies defense is and how bad they are at guarding the 3-point line. Now, for this game specifically, there's no Karl-Anthony Towns. He's confirmed out, which means that McDaniels is primarily going to play the 4, even more so than he normally does. And he's going to be relegated to spot up duty, which he already does normally. He should have even more spot up shot opportunities in this one with no Karl-Anthony Towns. Luckily, spot up shooting is exactly what you want against the Grizzlies. So whenever you see a stat, the best matchup in the NBA for 3-point props, I want to see why, right? Like, where do they give up 3-pointers? Because there are different ways in which you can give up a 3. Could be a corner 3, could be above the break, could be pull up, could be all that stuff. So you want to dig into the numbers and see where exactly is their defense weak and how can we apply that for betting specific opportunities. And I'm just kind of giving you insight into how my brain works with all this stuff. For the Grizzlies case, the Grizzlies are literally the worst defense in the NBA at defending the spot up jump shot. And as I mentioned, that's what McDaniels does for the Grizzlies, for the Timberwolves. The Grizzlies allow literally the most points per game, specifically to spot ups in the entire NBA. That's McDaniels' role on the offense. He averages the second most points per game on the T-Wolves, specifically from spot up jump shots. He's right above Karl-Anthony Towns, who, as I mentioned, is going to be out for this game. Now, Karl-Anthony Towns missed the last game, and Jaden didn't get the 2+ made 3-pointers. But dating back to last year, Jaden has cashed the over 1.5 made 3-pointers in 5 of his last 7 games that Cat has missed. Someone in the comments asking about Naz Reid. Last I checked, there were no 3-point props out for Naz Reid. I will say, the one guy who attempts more spot-up shots than McDaniels is Naz Reid. So if there are props out now, I would also look at that. I like McDaniels too because the second most is great, and he should he should benefit more from Karl-Anthony Towns being out than Naz Reid. So yeah, that's a great comment by Richie Smalls, and unfortunately there were no props out yet, or else I would have loved it. Anyways, next pick. This is in the Kings versus Nuggets game. Taking De'Aaron Fox over 25.5 points, best offered at -118 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. This is a full unit play. I believe his price might have moved up to 26.5 since I put in these numbers, and I would still take it for a full unit at that number. Now, Fox is one of these guys who I told myself I was going to swear him off, right? I can't bet any more De'Aaron Fox because he had such a rough stretch, and I had bet on him a couple times in that rough stretch. But Fox has been playing really well recently. And look, forgiveness is a part of life. Sometimes you got to forgive these guys. And Fox, as I mentioned, he's been awesome recently. So he had a rough stretch, and looking at a 10-game sample size, he had a rough stretch where he literally didn't even get to 20 points in 4 straight games. And prior to that, he was also ice cold. But Fox has quietly gone over even the 26.5 number in 5 straight games. In his last 5, he scored 40, 30, 28, 33, and 27 points in his last 5 games. Now, if you look at the entire season, point guard point props do not look like a good prop that you want to target against the Nuggets. On the entire year, yeah, they do a pretty good job defending point guards from scoring. That has not been the case recently. It's another one of those things where you can't look at season-long stats always. Sometimes things change, and that's kind of happened with the Nuggets defense. So Steph Curry missed this last game, obviously incredible player. But prior to that, 5 straight point guards had cashed their point total over under against the Nuggets. So Steph missed last game. Prior to that, 5 straight had gone over. That includes De'Aaron Fox, who scored 30 on an over under of 25.5. If he does that exact thing again tonight, that would be great. But kind of similar to the Grizzlies point I made. Okay, you see that 5 straight point guards leading up into the last game had gone over their point total over under. Okay, why? You want to look into that and see, was it just hot shot making? What was it? And the reason why more point guards have been scoring more against the Nuggets is because of their style of defense. And Jokic, who already likes to play drop coverage, has been dropping even more on the pick and roll. And what I mean by drop coverage is to talk a little bit into like NBA specific or game specific stuff like matchups. When a guard runs a pick and roll with the center can trap the guard, they can blitz him, or they can drop. Drop meaning they hang back and stay around the paint. That's what Jokic has been doing more often recently. And that style of defense leaves guards like Fox pretty open from the mid-range and able to give them a ton of pull-up opportunities after running a pick and roll. And De'Aaron Fox has turned himself into a pretty good pull-up shooter, and he runs a decent amount of pick and rolls. Obviously, he runs the most on the Kings by far. He runs about 8 pick and roll possessions per game. That number is tied for 12th in the entire NBA. So most on the Kings, tied for 12th in the entire NBA, and he's tied with both SGA and Steph Curry, two pretty good guys. In terms of pull-up shooting, he's averaging the 11th most points per game, specifically from the pull-up. But if you isolate the data since his hot streak started on February 13th, his number of points per game from pull-ups has gone up to 11 points per game. That is the 4th most in the NBA in that span. He's only behind Luka, Kyrie, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in that stretch. He recently just hung 40 points against the Suns. They play a similar style of drop coverage defense. So yeah, that's why I like the Fox play a lot. I think it's definitely worth the full unit that I am putting on this one. Real quick, how do you feel about DeMar DeRozan over 22.5 points? I was on DeMar yesterday, and he came through. I need to look at, so DeMar obviously feasts in the mid-range. My knowledge is that the Cavaliers do a pretty good job defending mid-range jump shots. I don't think they give up a ton of mid-range. I don't think they play like the drop coverage style defense like I'm talking about with the Nuggets. So that one I probably would sit out. But I got to say, DeMar has been playing really well recently. Like part of the reason why I was on him yesterday was because of how well he had been playing. And I think he did cash it against the Cavs the last time they played. It's just not quite the matchup that you want to target. But I'm not going to talk you out of it. If you like to play, by all means. So, all right, we're 7 picks deep. We only have a couple more. Before we get into that, I want to talk to you about the 1-year premium subscription giveaway. So if you want a chance to win a premium 1-year subscription to Betting Pros, it's a place where you can bet smarter, not bet harder. All you need to do to be entered for this giveaway is subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel. Hopefully, you're already doing that. If not, please hit that subscribe button. And then all you need to do is comment. So if you subscribe and comment, that's how you could be entered. A winner is going to be announced right here on the channel. So make sure to turn notifications on so you can be alerted when new episodes drop. Come in and claim your prize. 1-year premium subscription giveaway. Comment, subscribe, and you're good to go. 2 more picks left. Both of them are going to be for a unit. This next one, we're actually sticking in the Kings versus Nuggets game. And I'm taking another play on De'Aaron Fox. Over 5.5 assists, minus 109 odds is the best price per the Betting Pros consensus. Now, I understand it might be pretty risky to go with both Fox's points and his assists, but the reality is both of them are actually really good plays, so I didn't want to shy away from it. And as good as Fox has been as a scorer recently, gone over the number we're taking him at in 5 straight games, he's actually been even better as a playmaker when you consider how many assists he's getting and what his over-under is. So he's cashed over 5.5 assists in 7 of his last 8 games. And in the 1 game he missed, he had exactly 5. So he would have gotten hooked. That would have been frustrating, but still hovering right around the number that we need him to get at. That stretch includes 2 games against the Nuggets in which he had 10 assists and 8 assists. Now, he did that on 12 and 11 potential assists. So I will admit that conversion rate is pretty high and does make me a little bit nervous, but the reason why he's been able to get so many assists and have such a high conversion rate is because of the same logic with the drop coverage, right? If Fox isn't pulling up from deep, that means someone is taking that space, which means someone is either wide open. If someone crashes in from the wing, that's a wide open catch and shoot opportunity from the corner. If Jokic does play a little bit higher up, that leaves a pretty easy roll opportunity for the center, and you could just quick pick and roll to the center. Domantas Sabonis gets an easy walks into the paint with a layup. And Fox averages the most assists to Sabonis of everybody. So it kind of makes sense why his conversion rate is so high. And just as point guards have been scoring a lot against the Nuggets, point guards have been assisting a lot against the Nuggets as well. 6 of the last 9, that's very nice. 6 of 9 point guards against the Nuggets have gone over their assist prop. That includes Fox, that did it twice, that I already mentioned. That also includes someone like Tyus Jones, who had 14 on an over-under of 6.5. So Fox assists, just as good of a play as Fox points. Last up, our ninth and final pick of the slate. Another full play or full 1-unit play. Kawhi Leonard over 25.5 points, -120 odds at DraftKings. So this one, I will admit, is going to be a little bit scary. It's the ultimate flip-flop method type of play. Kawhi has not been scoring a lot recently, but this is a play that I actually am laddering him up to 30-plus points as well because I think he's going to have a good game. So Kawhi, it's regular season Kawhi. He's not always going to turn into the Terminator like he does in the playoffs, but he had a stretch back in December where he was phenomenal. He had a stretch back at the end of January/early February where he was also phenomenal. Since then, he's missed it in 6 straight games. So yeah, we're going to go ahead. This is the Pepto play of the day, which if you knew, that just means the play that's going to make you the most nervous. It's going to make your stomach the most queasy. Take some Pepto to ease that a little bit. It's definitely going to feel scary, but I really like this play. Number 1, no Paul George for the Clippers. That's a big deal. This year, this NBA season, Kawhi has played 4 games without PG. He's gone over 25.5 points in 3 of those 4 games, scoring 27, 30, and 31 points in those 3 games he went over. Now, the one game he did go under, I will admit, that was the most recent game because PG did miss the last game as well. But we're still talking a 3 of 4 hit rate without Paul George. And unsurprisingly, with PG out of the lineup, Kawhi has the highest usage rate on the team. And this is a pretty good matchup against the Lakers as well, both if you look at the entire season and if you look at recent stats as well. On the year, the Lakers have given up the second most points per game to someone of Kawhi's shooting profile. And recently, the Lakers defense has kind of fallen off a cliff. Over the past 6 weeks, the Lakers have the 6th worst defense in the NBA, according to net rating. And there are a couple advanced stats that favor Kawhi as well. Number 1, on the Clippers, he averages the most points per game via the pull-up. Again, that's specific to the Clippers. And the Lakers give up the second most made field goals per game via the pull-up as well. Now, third on the Clippers is Paul George. So Kawhi should have even more pull-up opportunities with no Paul George. And NBA lists Kawhi as the best isolation scorer in the entire NBA. That's not me saying he averages the most points via the ISO or that he averages the most attempts or field goals. Just NBA lists like what percentile this player is at a certain stat. And they literally have Kawhi this year as the best ISO scorer in the NBA. And the Lakers, they're allowing the 6th most points per game via the ISO. So I'm confident Kawhi's cold streak is going to come to an end today. Rounding out our 9th and final pick of the slate. Let's hope we can have a great day today. I've been hot personally. Hopefully we can get it to come a hot streak to these streams as well. I appreciate everybody who has been tuning in and appreciate everybody for being in the comments as well. Make sure to subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel. Hit me up on social media. Appreciate everybody for watching and have a good one.